properties. Let's try this. Any sound now? It looks like it's there, but very, very low. There's the audio. Okay, so now we have sound. That is so weird. Oh, I bet you I know what happened. I was trying to set this thing up for what we're going to be doing tonight, and I ended up having a wonderful bit of nonsense happen. I was looking through and configuring the Mix Pre 6, and I accidentally put it into file mode. And when you put it into file mode to transfer a file from the computer or from the Mix Pre 6 over to the computer, what it ends up doing is it cuts out your audio. And so you have no audio drivers on your computer anymore, or no audio device. But in doing that, apparently it had totally forgotten my settings when I turned it back on. So here I am live streaming with no audio. Good times. Well, thanks for helping me out with that. That's got to be great. A sound live stream with no sound. That's okay. I'm eye candy, aren't I? Sure. Let's see. It's so weird. I'm looking at the screen here, and it looks like there's no video playback. I'm seeing counters, but I'm seeing the little spinning thing on the screen. So it looks like I'm not even active. It's the weirdest thing. So as long as you guys can see and hear me, then we're good. Hello from SoCal. How's it going there? I will say it yet again, since no one heard me. Hello, Andres. And we have a technical DIDN in the house. And let's see here. Jean is here. Viviana, there's the audio. Okay. That has actually never happened before, a live stream with no audio. That's well, at least on this channel. A lot of fun there. So let me tell you yet again, now that people can hear, what my plan is for tonight. I was looking back at a bunch of my old videos, and it suddenly occurred to me, I went back and asked a few people in Discord if anybody happens to go back and ever look at my old videos. And routinely, people have said no in the past. Now, this is something that I only just recently started asking a little bit about again to see if anybody was actually looking at them. And it seems to be a common thing that no, people aren't. And I looked at that and I said, well, there's a lot of older videos that actually do have a great purpose. Now, one of the questions I had on an episode of the Sound Speeds podcast was, could I list some of my favorite videos? And I said, sure, I can list them. Might as well, give it a go. And so I listed some of them, and I looked at the metrics, and nobody looked at them. So I was thinking, maybe we should take a look at them together. And the reason why is because there's a lot of the older videos that exist on this channel, but make them or update them like people do in the blog posts. Yes, but the thing is, though, there's a lot of them have the content has been included into something else. And I guess I could go back and look at it and say, well, just, re-release them. Who would notice, right? But what I thought about doing is showing them more in the live stream tonight, and then getting your thoughts, because first of all, 3 years ago when I released many of the videos that I had planned to watch tonight, it's really interesting. My style was very dialed in, but at the same time, it was still, I almost want to say, very primitive. My presentation style wasn't the way it is now. Like right now, I'll get in front of the camera and I will say over and over again the same thing until I get it the way I want it to be, and then I'll move on. And I have a screen up in front of me that tells me what it is, and I'll look down and say, okay, yeah, okay, I got to hit those points, got to say that. And a lot of the times I'll rehearse it a few times while looking at the screen until I get it right. But I will look at that. I've looked at that and said to myself, that's quite a bit different than the way I originally started out. What I used to do, keeping in mind that when I first started this channel and launched it, I was on Walking Dead, and we were working from sun up until sundown, which in the summer in the South here, that's about like 6:30 a.m. until about 9 p.m. And we were loading in the darkness and wrapping in the darkness. And then that's not including the hour and 25-minute commute there, and an hour and 45-minute to 2 hour and 15-minute drive home. And I would usually drive in a time where there was no traffic in the morning. I'd drive in at like 3 a.m. and then I'd take a nap in the car and then get up and start my day. But one of the things that I had to do kind of to stay sane was on Saturday night, I would record usually 3 episodes. So what I would do is I would record 3 episodes back to back to back. And my style was not the same way as it is now, where it's very proper and prepared. They were a lot of quick, like 2 or 3 minute videos, if that. Some of the earliest ones I did were very short, if it wasn't just me getting in front of the camera and talking. And those were presented from a point of view of knowing what I was talking about and really going through everything on screen, having already rehearsed it, usually in the car, at some point during the week. And then I would present it in front of the camera, and then that was it, usually. I would record it and then maybe do a couple of light edits, but that was about it. And that was about what I ended up doing in many of my earlier videos. There was not nearly as much editing now as there is now. And as I started to do more and more videos that were short, and you've heard me say in the past that the reason I was doing a lot of shorter videos in the beginning was because they were supplementing classes I was doing in the real world. And by the way, one of the classes, if you were to see my sound utility class, for example, in the real world, you would see me play some of the videos that I've done here on Sound Speeds in that class to help supplement things during things like bathroom breaks or to get people back in after we had taken a quick break or something like that. So the sound utility class that I have coming up this Saturday, that is available. If you look back at a couple of videos, you'll see that I'm actually, making it available to the public for one time and one time only. I have no intention of doing a sound utility class ever again. But I've released a video, and if you're interested in enrolling, it is there for you to look at. Now, if I were to do a lot of the videos I used to do the way I did it then, they would be quick, they would be skim the surface, maybe touch one topic, then move on. But over the course of time, people started wanting more deeper dives and started asking me deeper questions. So I started getting into more deeper and deeper dives because I guess many people could actually look at things and say, okay, you need to, a lot of other channels, I guess, can cover a lot of the material that's more basic. But if you want a really, really deep, crazy dive, that's what people would started to come here for. And so that's why I started to do more of that. And so I don't do a lot of the skimming the surface type content anymore like I used to. But that's okay, because at least we're now at a point where we don't have to. We've kind of dialed in on the way that we're going to continue forth for the rest of eternity. But if you look back at a lot of my earlier videos, they are not polished like they are now. So some of the videos we're going to be looking at, and I know we only have 10 people in here, is going to be, you're going to hear stutters. You're going to hear me say, you're going to hear my voice doesn't even sound the same, let the truth be known. I sound higher pitched and even more nasally. I don't know why that is, because my setup with the Cat Equitech E100 was there from the very beginning. There was only 3 episodes, and I believe one of the ones that I'm going to show in this live stream, I believe one of them was using the SM7B because I decided to give it a shot. But as you know, an SM7B needs to be closer to your mouth. I didn't do that because I don't like having microphones in front of my face. So I decided I was going to do this. I was going to do it totally with the microphone farther away. And my voice sounds very, very high and very nasally. It's nonsense. So we'll start with that one here in a moment. But let me go ahead and catch up with the chat real quick here. You should make or update them. Like people who do blog posts, yes, but at the same time, a lot of the content is still valid. It's still there if someone were to search for it. But do people want to search for it? Maybe what I need to do is go back and redo the tags, maybe change up the description a little bit, change up the title definitely on some of them, and see if that helps first. I actually I did that with 5 videos. I need to get back into that. Maybe what my plan was, it was to change like 1 a night, and that way at least I would do that, and over the course of maybe a year they would all be done. Actually, probably after only about 4 or 5 months, they'd probably catch up to where I started actually doing tags. How long was the turnaround times on Walking Dead? That's a good question. I think they were closer to about, by the time we loaded in with pre-calls and loaded out, I think they were about 10 to 10 and a half hours, at least for me and sound. Sometimes they were about 11, but you got to keep in mind it's a zombie apocalypse show, so we have to be outside for most of it. It's, as much as in the real world people would be escaping zombies by being inside, that doesn't make for an exciting television show. So we were always outside, always in the woods, always in a creek, always someplace. If it rained, we just kind of laughed and joked it off and said, ah, ha, 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 it's raining. There we go. That was the way we did things. So even when we had it listed as a cover set, it would be a torrential downpour. And we'd just say, okay, well, cover set, haha, we're not doing that. And we continued to power on through it. But if we finished around 9 p.m. or so, we would be back on set with a pre-call around 6:30 a.m. Now, as we started moving into fall, especially after daylight saving time changed over again, then it would get darker quicker. And as the sun started setting, I really looked forward to those times, not only because it got cooler, but because it meant that we would lose our sun around 7:30 or so, and we weren't coming in until about 7:30 the next day. So we started having closer to 12-hour turnarounds. But usually in the summer, it was between about 10 and 11 hours, sometimes a little bit more if we had to transition into night. But that was pretty much our union. I think our union minimum was 9, and I think we mainly got 10. But you got to keep in mind, that was one of the things I was also doing is I had about an hour and 25-minute commute there in no traffic, and about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours and 15 minutes coming home, depending on the time of day we were released, traffic, and so forth. So I spent a good 3 or so hours on the road. So even with even with an 11-hour turnaround, that only gave me 8 hours off. So it was, the fact that I started sound speeds during that time was insane, especially considering that I was releasing a video every 3 days for the first 100 videos I did. But remember, they were shorter, not as polished as they are now videos, and you'll see some of those here tonight. But let me finish on getting through the content, the comments here. Baron is here. Hello, Baron. How's it going, man? Good to see you here tonight. He says, I'm never awake for these. I usually will end up doing them when I'm doing a live stream. It's usually on Tuesday or Wednesday night. Usually Monday is my new release day. Tuesday is, I'll usually goof off, do something like that on Monday night. Tuesday night, I will usually either live stream or I will, practice DJing and play around. And if I do that, people in my Discord server can start looking out, usually around 10:30 or 11 p.m. And I'll start to make some sort of an announcement that I'm going to be doing it, and I will stream it live, and people can listen in at 320 kilobits per second. Now, when I used to DJ, I had controllers and all kinds of, I'd have all kinds of gizmos, whether it was, just whatever I was DJing with. And it's not like cassettes or anything. We were beat matching and doing all that kinds of good stuff. Usually from either CDs or digital. I know how to do it by vinyl, but the kind of jobs that I did was requiring me to go out into the field, and carrying around crates and crates of vinyl was extremely not what I wanted to be doing, especially when I could join a record pool or get music. Like when I produced a music video television series called Dovidox for a time in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And when I did that, I reported to something called the CVC Report, which was second to Billboard. And so my television show, even though it was very small, CVC Report allowed me to report. And then I had a lot of the major, record labels, and pretty much everybody in the world who sent stuff out to to televisions and shows and stuff would send me music videos. They would send me CDs, club versions of songs and stuff like that. So back in those days, it was very, very good for me to do that television show, because I was basically able to call up a record label and say, what do you have on this? Or I could do what I referred to jokingly as use my powers over time and space, even though, it really, I didn't ever do it, because I'm not, as much as you might say, oh, cool, you were able to go see a lot of bands and stuff. Yes. I mean, I was able to be one of the very few people to have certain opportunities. Like I was at a Misfits concert. I was hanging out like sitting on top of one of their speakers and just watching the show until I got bored and left. During a I called the I forgot who Aerosmith was with at the time. My girlfriend was went to school in South Carolina, and she wanted to see Aerosmith. So I found out they were going to be at the Buy Low Center, and I called in my contact and I asked for a couple of, good Aerosmith tickets. And she had them overnighted to me, and they arrived, and we were in the second row. And things like that. We could get those if we wanted to, because a lot of, and sometimes it was if I wanted to get backstage and that kind of stuff, people were trying to get me to do that, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to go backstage and meet the bands. As strange as it may sound, I had no interest in that. So it was one of those comical things that was just like, I was a music video television show that we had hosts, we had, music videos rocking and stuff. This is back in the day when MTV actually played videos, and videos were something we didn't have, Vimeo, and YouTube and stuff like that. So at one point I was on 6 different channels. Mostly they were public access, but I did have a following, and I had a phone number set up that people could call and leave a request, or, even in the early days of email, people could email me and that kind of goodness. So it was a lot of fun, but I had a lot of really cool mixes that I got because of it. And I got CDs before they came out. So people would hear stuff on a radio, and I would DJ a gig or something like that. And they would say, "How did you get that? It's not out yet." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And then I would play a club mix that they weren't even playing on the radio, and people would go completely crazy. And that kind of thing was really cool. So back in those days, they weren't sending vinyl for it. They would send out CDs. That's one of the big reasons why I was DJing with CDs. That and the fact that it was like, too crazy to do it otherwise. So that's a little bit about my backstory, and that's a little bit about what I do. So if I don't live stream on Tuesdays, I'll usually live stream on Wednesdays. As soon as I start full-time on a show again, that's probably not going to happen as consistently, or if it does, it'll probably happen later in the week. Depends on what they do with COVID, because there are many networks and many studios that are going to try to stick to 10-hour French days, which is basically, normally we would work 6 hours, go to lunch for a half hour, come back and work another 6 hours, maybe up to as many as 14 elapsed, and then they would wrap. They're trying to get away with doing away with that. So that way we would work 10 hours straight through the day, never pausing for lunch. Now, if you can, pull yourself aside, run to catering and tell them what you want real quick, come back with a plate and eat while you're on set, that's fine too. But that would mean basically meal penalties throughout the rest of the day. And that's the rumor as of now. I don't know if French hours are going to become a thing, but the emphasis that I know a lot of shows are doing, like, for example, I mentioned Walking Dead, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was shut down due to COVID, and they're going to be coming back for 3 more weeks. When they come back, they're going to be on 10-hour days again, but many Marvel shows are, the big movies and stuff, especially. But Walking Dead is going to do a day or 2 extra per episode, and they're going to be doing more French hour 10-hour days, because this is the first time in filmmaking history when producers and everybody has actually acknowledged that sleep is important to health, which is something that we really can't balk at, because a lot of the times we've been, very much been running on fumes and with minimal turnarounds and going crazy in long hours and just energy out the wazoo and going crazy, and it's hurt. It's really taken a big toll on us. And so now we're very, very happy that even though it probably will give us a hit in our pockets, it's going to be a little bit of a healthier situation to have to deal with on set. So that's something we're really looking forward to. Okay, so it says, "I'm never awake for these. I'm glad you're here, Baron." I don't know if you're still here or if you just popped in and now you're back out again. But, all right, cool. Back when he was sound lightning fizz speeds. Okay, higher pitched, yes. Yeah, the title and tags, if content is evergreen, then it is okay. Yes, and it always is. That's one of the things that you might have heard me say in the past, that I am always a big advocate for not doing timed content. If you have the YouTube trim tool right there. If you end up ever needing to cut out something, There's a couple of videos that my kids watch, for example, on channels, kids' channels. One of the things that we've listened to is the Gummy Bear song. As I'm sure you can imagine, that gets kind of old after you listen to it a billion times. But especially since at the very beginning it says, look for the Gummy Bear album coming on November 23rd or something, with a lot of music, something, and fun, you know, and it starts off with this thing. But that album has been released over like 10 years now. So why do you need to have that intro on there except to tell people there's a Gummy Bear album? One of the things I've always done for my April Fool's pranks, and even at other times, like when I did the Boom Swinger video that released right before the shutdown at COVID, when I did that video, I included in that a section that said, I do want everybody to know that I do have a few of these right now from the batch that I ordered left. And if you're interested in one, write to me. It's going to be this cost, and I'll send it to you via U.S. priority mail. And then I removed that section as soon as I sold out of them. I went into the YouTube trim tool. I set it to remove, and then YouTube ended up messing me up because for whatever reason, removing that 30 to 45 seconds ended up going into this lag, and it got hung up and it didn't remove for over 30 hours. So during that time, I kept on having people send in orders for them. And so I had so many of them that what I ended up doing is contacting my contact out there in Wales and saying, I'm going to do another order because I have a big order. I have a bunch of people that are interested in. I did another order. I said, how much is it going to be if you give me your, Boom Swinger and you send it over to me with shipping and everything? What's the price on that? He told me. I took that, split it, and then said, if you're interested, it's going to be this price, and everybody wanted one. So I basically took that price, sent it to people, and basically didn't make any profit, which was fine by me. I was just trying to help people out, but that YouTube trim tool ended up messing me up a few times. And with my April Fool's pranks, I always released an intro that said, hey guys, this is thanks for watching this after the April Fool's day for this year has gone. It's, all a joke, but at least I'm glad you're here to watch it, have fun. Fades out, fades back in, sound speeds, and blah, blah, blah. But the reason I'm saying that, and what I would do is I'd go into the trim tool, and I would actually remove that other intro, that hey guys, this is after the fact. So the video would fade up from black and be the way you would see it on the channel. And then after the fact, I would go through and say undo changes, and it would revert back. I would change the thumbnail to, oh, this is an April Fool's prank. And then that would be the way it was that is on the channel. So that's using the YouTube trim tool. So my content, I don't like dating it. Live streams are a little different. When I do the Sound Support podcast, I always say it's for this particular date. Same thing on the Sound Speeds podcast. But I don't do that as a rule because I don't want to end up having... I don't want to have dated content on this channel. I have in the past mentioned that if it's after July 13, 2020, then you lose the part of the spectrum that's 608 to 700 megahertz. In a couple of my videos where I've talked about wireless, I have said that. I've said, and as of July 13th, 2020, America no longer has access to the spectrum of 608 to 700 megahertz. And I say it a certain way. That way, if you watch it before that time, you'll realize that that's the cutoff date for those frequencies. And if you watch it after the fact, like right now, then you're going to look at that and say, oh, that's when it shut off, is on July 13th, 2020. So you would at least know that. So 10 to 11 hours, that's not bad. I remember when shows had 8 hours between rap and call. Yeah. Every 3 days, good Lord. Meal penalties were cha-ching. Yeah. Sleep is very important to health. It's about time. It is. It very much is. So I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I were to switch this over audio-wise. If I go here, can you still hear me? Did I just totally mess up my sound, or can you still hear me? Hopefully you can still hear me because it looks like I'm still broadcasting out with OBS. And hopefully it's still there. But if you missed it at the very beginning, the reason why I'm doing this, okay, it's good. Thank you. So the reason I'm doing that is because in this episode, I want you to tell me real quick here. I'm going to play a quick audio sample here. Tell me, do you hear this? I don't even hear it. What is going on there? I didn't even hear that. So let me try that one again. Tell me, do you hear that? Because I don't hear it. It's not there. What in the world is going on with this thing tonight? I'm going to have to check my settings there. Audio, output, module, wave out audio. Let's try that one. Save and hit play. Nope. What is going on? Okay. Good times, good fun. Who knows what's going on here? I wonder, 1 second, I wonder if that change I just made messed it up. Output, USB. Sorry, let's try this. Okay, let's see if I can hear it. Still no sound. It's really weird because when I came in to this stream, it was fine. And then you couldn't hear me. And so I made a couple of changes in my settings, and now I have no sound on the videos I was going to be showing. Good times, good fun. Let me go in there one more time. VLC Media Player. Alrighty. Audio is set up there. Enable audio, yes. Output module, pass through, device, default. Yeah, it's all right. I have no idea why that's happening. Wow. Okay. I may have to think about this one here. Check USB 1 and USB 2 settings. Yep, I did in the mix pre. It's always defaulting through, so that way, yep, USB 1 and USB 2. Yep, they're where they're supposed to be in the mix pre. The sound guy is having a difficult time getting sound through the internet to stream. Yes. Yes, indeed. If this were a TV show, oh, it'd be done. That was actually, if you recall, the VLC is closed. I closed it already. Let me make sure it's not running in the background, and then I'll shut it all the way down. VLC, are you running? Are you running? All these services. I don't know why Windows has to run all these services. It's no reason for it. All right, let's try. Oh, I have an idea. Let's try opening it in a different. I'll try playing it again real quick. No. Okay. Audio is up. Okay, I'm going to try a different program. We'll see if I quit it and then open it with something else. Is it going to come up? Let's try the dreaded QuickTime Player and see if it's going to pop up. No, don't associate. I don't ever use this thing. Of course, invalid sample description was found in the movie. What? Hold on a second. Did Windows totally change my audio settings? I gotta check real quick. Okay. Recording. We're set to 24-bit 48K, which is right. Playback. 24-bit 48K. When I hit play, I hear nothing though. That's interesting. Well, I guess we won't be able to do what I had planned for the night. Uh-oh, video is now glitching. Oh well. Picture is shaky. But it cleared up now. Okay. I wonder if OBS is just messing up. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and I won't do what I had planned on doing tonight, but I can always do that again next week or something. In the meantime, though, if you guys have any questions, I will answer those, and we'll see what we're gonna do regarding that. I am happy that we're going into the colder time of years. I'd like you to tell me if you've already started to run into colder weather starting to make it into your areas. I know if you're out west, it has been record heats. Jeez, there's been record heat out there. A lot of my friends from California are posting pictures on Facebook of 116, 117 degrees in their towns. And Georgia, it's going to be like in the early 80s all week. But it's going to be raining almost every single day. So my plan for my next video may end up changing out and pushing back a week. I don't know. But I love this time of year because it's, cooler. I like it a lot better than the heat. The heat is just brutal. You can always layer up. You can only take off so many clothes until it gets to be indecent. So I'd much rather layer up than layer down. In Baltimore, it's cool, upper 60s at night, but my friend in Denver just posted pictures of snow today. Yeah, I've seen that. That is so funny too, because a lot of places I know have just experienced a 60-degree drop. There is a place, where is it? Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, something like that, that just experienced snow. Maybe it's Colorado, just experienced snow, but it was in the 90s earlier this week or something like that. It's really, really funny. It's like 2020 is just doing everything it possibly can to just laugh at us and mock us. It is the strangest year. This year is just crazy. So anyway, thank you very much for liking the videos there, James. Appreciate that. Really enjoy the mic testing you did in the loud hotel room. Very helpful for a noob. Cool. Yeah, that was one I was actually, that's a good thing. I should look that up right now. There's a movie called Devil All the Time that I believe is being released next week. And I'm going to look it up real quick because it's going to be one of those that's released in theaters. And I do not care if the movie theaters are open and they say wear a mask. I'm going to go see... I'm sorry, I just got through seeing the TV show I'm working on popping up on featured today on the IMDb. What is that about? That's really weird. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Someone say squirrel? Let me go in and look at when Devil All the Time is going to be released. That was the movie I did in Alabama last year. Devil All the Time releases September 16th, so that's next week on Wednesday. Well, I can tell already I'll probably be doing the live stream on Tuesday because on Wednesday I will be going to see my movie. That movie I think is going to be a lot of fun. It's got a really good cast. I don't think it's going to be a humongous big like blockbuster of any kind, but it's definitely more of an art house type thing. I looked at it, and when I was on the show, I looked at it and said, man, this has all the earmarks to be the next Bird Box. But then they decided to do a theatrical release of it. I thought it was going to be released only on Netflix because it is a Netflix movie. But no, it's going to be released in theaters. So I'm very interested in seeing it because it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really cool actually seeing in theaters. I remember working on it, and it basically takes place like through World War II era up until I think the 60s, something like that. And so it's a period piece. And we had a lot of fun shooting it. And we shot it in Alabama, small little bitty areas. It has a great cast. Sebastian Stan, who plays the Winter Soldier in the Marvel movies. We had Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man in the Marvel movies. We had Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise in the new It movies. We had, what are some of the people's names? We had Elvis Presley's granddaughter, Kylie. Kylie, was that her name? We had the guy who played John Connor in one of the, was it Terminator? Not Salvation, Terminator Genesis, I think it was, the little cameo by John Connor. I can't remember, but it was a really good cast, a lot of fun. Every single day, everyone was kind and nice, and we were shooting out in Alabama. So I was in the hotel room every night. My family was back in Georgia, and I had nothing to do. So at night I was shooting videos, or I was trying really hard to edit on my laptop, which just does not edit very well. So I was editing those videos on that it's a great laptop. It's a wonderful laptop. It just was not cooperating for editing. It would, stutter and didn't take the video very well. So, but I still managed to edit it, upload it, and did everything in the field. And you saw that I went completely, scruffy. So it was kind of fun. But it was right. I think it was in March when we shot that, and it's going to be a good one. So that's next week. I'll be looking forward to watching that movie when it finally comes out. We have, let's see, we have John in the house. Thanks for joining us, John. Let's see here. We're entering the peak of the hurricane season here in Puerto Rico, so we are all eyes over the coast of Africa to check what's coming out of there. Man, I tell you, I find it so amazing that Puerto Rico doesn't get just destroyed every single year by the weather. Because I've been there. It is absolutely a beautiful country, and it doesn't look like it's destroyed every year. So if it is, it's amazing. Let me ask you real quick, because Andres, you're in here. We had last year, I believe it was, extreme power outages there in Puerto Rico for months, I think it was. Did you encounter any of that? Did you experience any of that out there? Because I remember thinking about it, and once the news was no longer covering it, it was out of sight, out of mind for a lot of Americans, at least here in the mainland, because I know technically Puerto Rico is its own country, but it's also part of the United States as well. So it's really weird how it just kind of vanished off the news, and a lot of people stopped talking about it. It's like, look, it's still going on there, just kind of like the wildfires in Australia that were happening only at the beginning of 2020. We were saying, look, the Australia wildfires are still happening. So, don't just think that because it's not being covered by the news media anymore, it's not really going on anymore. So, but I'm very interested to hear if you were affected by that. Cooling off here in the north coast to high 50s today, but no snow yet. Alexa, what's the temperature right now? It's 71 degrees right now. Oh, that's nice. I can't wait until the temperature starts dropping, because that's when it becomes cool weather. I can just start wearing light jackets and stuff again. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. Now, granted, I think this is going to be a colder year than we've had in the past. The past couple of years, I think, have been pretty mild here in Georgia. It's gotten down to 30s a few times, but I don't recall it getting down into the 20s that I recall. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, this is supposed to be a really cold year for weather as we're moving in. I mean, if the temperatures are already starting to drop. I do remember about 8 years ago, I think it was, we had snow here on Christmas, and that is one of those things that never happens. It's like, seeing a unicorn. Doesn't happen here, but it snowed on Christmas Day, which was just like the craziest thing. So it started snowing after the girls had gone to bed. My wife and I, ran upstairs, grabbed them. Girls, get down here. And we all went outside to take pictures, on Christmas Day in the snow. It was the craziest thing. It was like, 11 p.m. or something, but we didn't care. 90s to snow, crazy. Yeah, that's the way a lot of it's happening. Yeah, 2020 is like the actual Y2K. Yeah, it is. It is really. And what's funny to me is that when we look back at 2020, we're going to be able to say hindsight is 2020, and look at that and shake our heads, say, man, just the 2020 is the year everything went crazy. And we're all going to remember it and say that was a nuts year. And it's just, we have 4 months of it left. We have a whole entire third of the year left. What is going to happen next? We keep laughing at the right before the election for president we have here. There's supposed to be like a less than a 1%, like a quarter of 1% or something like that chance that a meteorite's going to hit the planet. We just keep looking at it and saying, you know what, it's going to get closer to time, and everyone in the world is going to be, suddenly informed that, our original prediction of 0.25% is incorrect. It's now 79%. It's going to be some crazy thing. And it's going to be one of those, of course it is. It's going to happen. And if we manage to survive that, then we still have the election. Anyway, that's going to be nice. Good times. So let's see here. What's up, everybody? How's it going, Lindsay? Thanks for joining, Lindsay. Hey, it's already snowing in Colorado. Wow. Yeah, we've had a couple. The only covering the stuff is David Bignaw, I guess. Big Note. I don't know. I'm terrible. I'm butchering the name, I'm sure. We had a big one in January due to the earthquake in the south, where two of the power stations are in the shutdown. Wow. Lindsay, the title is misleading. There are sound issues with the oldies, but this is still good to hang out with for a bit. Are you in Colorado? There will be a surprise. Meteorite, yeah, 41% of 1% of hitting the United States. Well, that's okay. I mean, it could hit in Europe and we'll be safe in the U.S., won't we? No, we would not be. If it hit the planet at all, it would be nuclear winter. It'd be nuts. I don't know. How big is this meteorite that's supposed to hit? If it's small, then it's probably going to be, I don't know. Well, it depends on how small. If it's the size of a, vehicle, then we're probably going to be safe. It'll just bounce off the surface and go towards the sun or something, or if it might vaporize in our atmosphere. But if it's bigger, if it's the size of, one of the skyscrapers or one of the buildings downtown, then we might have more of a problem. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Voice sounds easy to hear. What's the microphone? This is the T-Bone SC400. That is one that happens to be one that I like. I mean, it serves its purpose here. The thing is only like $40. It's 40 pounds if you buy it in the UK. It's, by the time you do the conversion to US dollars, I think it's like $48. But that thing right there, it serves a great purpose for me. It's a super cardioid. It rejects out this room quite effectively, I believe. I don't have it in my eyes. I mean, I can see the entire area of my screen now. I have it positioned so that it's right here. If I turn my head around, unless I turn it hard that way, you're going to still hear me okay. So it's a pretty fun, it's a pretty, small microphone, super cardioid pattern. I like it. If it was a cardioid pattern mic, it probably wouldn't pick my voice up nearly as well. I mean, unless I put it right here in front of my face, but you can see that it's 8 inches off of my face, and it's not in my eye view. So they say it's the size of a refrigerator. That's it. Oh, that's going to be vaporized. Let it hit Earth square, smack right in the middle. Because if it's the size of a refrigerator, why are they even telling us? That thing's going to vaporize. We've had meteorites the size of buses get vaporized. A refrigerator, that's it. Why are they even trying to make that news? There's so much better things to cover right now. Meteorite. Where is the Bruce Willis to help us? Yeah, was it Armageddon? Yeah, it is Armageddon. I almost said Apocalypse Now. It was Armageddon. I love that movie. Back in, 97 when that was released? I remember seeing it in theaters. It was awesome. And I remember looking at it and just laughing at the whole Liv Tyler relationship with, what's his name? Ben Affleck. That was fun. Good times. All this reminds us of the movie Deep Impact. Yeah, it's really interesting how a lot of the times a couple of studios will release very similar content. You'll have the natural disaster movies, like you'll have Armageddon and Deep Impact about a destructive meteorite. You'll have Dante's Peak and Volcano about a volcano. You'll have A Bug's Life and Ants about ants doing stuff. You'll have movies that are very similar coming out from the same kind of studios, and they'll release at about the same time. So whoever can get the thing out there the quickest is going to be, the best. Before Titanic came out, I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was a movie, I believe it was Tim Curry was in a made-for-television version of Titanic that was quickly, as soon as they started shooting the Titanic movie with James Cameron, they went ahead and rushed out a script and got it. I think it had, what's her name? Catherine Zeta-Jones, I believe. No, Catherine, is that her name? Catherine Zeta-Jones? She and Tim Curry were in it, and it's actually, as far as a made-for-TV movie is, it's not bad. I remember they did a pretty decent job. It's not by any means nearly as good as Titanic, if you like Titanic. I actually like Titanic. I think that, I know I definitely see issues with it. I know there's problems with it, but I remember looking at it and thinking that this is a pretty epic movie. And I like the footage that they got at the bottom of the ocean. I like a lot of the visuals. I like what they were able to do with some of the effects. The story could be better, but I don't really have any complaints about it as a general rule. I was entertained, and it's one that I could actually put on and watch and still be entertained by it. It's by no means something that I'm thinking, oh, tonight when I finish this stream, I'm going to go and watch Titanic. I'm not. What I will probably watch is going to be something more along the line of the boys. I just got through watching episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 2 last night. I binged watch it. I do not regret that one bit. That to me is a fun show. It's a lot of fun to do. So, there we go. All of this talk reminds me of the movie. Okay, so studios have stacks of scripts that they'll start optioning when it's trending. Yeah, they do. And that's one of the things that I always tell people when I've taught a lot at schools. And one of the ones I taught at was the Georgia Film Academy. And that was just, I was a guest speaker one night. And I went out there. And one of the things I told the guy that hired me for the one night to come in and speak, I said, I'm not the kind of guy that pulls punches. I'm not going to come in there and say, yes, it's going to be great. Your film career is going to be wonderful. You're going to be a director like you want to. You're going to be a writer like you wanted to. You're going to be, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm not that way. What I will do is I'll come in and be brutally honest. I said, if you want that, then bring me in. And they said, okay, well, I think that would be good. So I was one of the speakers and they brought me in. And I said, how long do we have? And they said, oh, well, it's 3 hours, but you don't have to speak the whole entire time. I said, you don't think I can? I said, people will be leaving this room, the building. You're going to be trying to shove me out the door and I'll be talking to people in the parking lot. Guess what happened? Exactly that. And the reason why is because I started off and I said, hey, welcome. I'm a boom operator, work in the sound department. Let me go through real quick and find out what you're doing and how you're going about doing that. Because right now you're in Georgia Film Academy. You obviously want to be in the industry, some sort of an aspect. I want to hear what you're doing in the industry now. And I started off and the first guy was like, yeah, I want to be a producer. I'm like, cool. What have you produced? Well, nothing. Well, got to graduate first. I'm like, do you? So you can't produce anything on your own. You can't just decide you're going to produce your own content even. And practice and see what it takes to make your own things by yourself. Or, you could reach out to someone on Craigslist and offer to assist them in being a producer, say in exchange for, associate producer credit or an assistant producer credit or something like that. I'll volunteer on your movie and, help you with different producer tasks or something like that. Or if you know somebody else, then offered to assist with them and get your producer credits by producing. And he's just like, yeah, I guess I could. I'm like, yeah, you should be. You want to be a producer before you go for the title of producer. It's very difficult to start off and say, I'm a producer, which is one of the reasons why I don't ever go to any of those events. If you ever see one of those events that's like, this is for all, unless it's something that celebrities and big time crew and crew members go to. If it's one of these galas or something that they say, look, this is going to be an industry thing, show up there and mingle and whatever, you're going to go there. There's going to be 99% of the people there are either a director, a producer, or a very small percentage of them will be actors. And the rest of them are people looking around, shaking their heads and saying, this is a joke. And it's all people that are like, yes, I'm a producer. Oh, you're a director. That's great. I would love to see your reel. I would love to see what you've done. Oh, you haven't done anything yet. Well, that's okay. I haven't done anything yet either. Hey, let me get my card. I'll give you my card. And they'll talk and you're like, you people are jokes, because that's all you want to do is just talk, and you don't want to actually do anything. You want to mingle, show up at these gala events and pay $100 for a ticket and feel like you're big shots. But, you know, if you're actually in the industry, you look around at them, and I know some people who have shown up at those, and they'll do it if they're bored. They'll show up and they're just like, this is crazy. I'm never showing up at one of these things again. And so you end up having a whole bunch of people that are directors and producers and a few actors all talking, and it's ridiculous. So the reason I even mention that, though, is because it's the next person I talked to there at the Georgia Film Academy in that speech is I said, okay, so my question for you is, what are you doing? Well, what do you want to do? She says, oh, I want to write. I'm like, cool. What have you written? Well, nothing. But you're a writer. You're a writer that doesn't write. That's like me saying I'm a boom operator that doesn't boom. See how ridiculous that is? I said, here's what you need to be doing. You need to be writing now because you want to. Because what's going to happen is you're going to write a story, you're going to write another story, you're going to write another story, you're going to write 30 stories before you finally get one picked up, or before you finally get someone's attention. They're going to look at this and say, yeah, you know, this script is okay, but sci-fi really isn't in right now. So do you have anything else that's maybe romantic comedy? Because that's coming back. And if you say, I don't have anything, this is all I have, they're going to say, okay, well, thanks for your time. If you say, you know what, I do have a couple of romantic comedies that I've just kind of developed, you know, short stories out of them, but I could certainly make something longer if you like it. I'd love to see them. And then you have something to show. So if you're a writer, write something. And she was like nodding, like, I got an idea now. I got some ideas. I'm going to do that. And I went down the entire list and basically said, so what are you going to do? Cool. Are you doing it now? No, you should be. And the reason I'm being very blunt, I told him, I said, the reason I'm being blunt is because this is a very aggressive business. You got to be aggressive to get in there. It's something that you got to know your craft, and it's something that you got to mingle with people. And if you don't do both of those things, you have like zero chance of being in the industry. They always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, it is also what you know, because if you don't know how to write something, you don't know how to produce something, you don't know how to do sound, you don't know how to operate a camera, you have zero chance of actually being invited to do that on a show, unless it's a very, very small budget show, in which case you're probably not going to get paid. Or if you are, then the most likely what's going to happen is someone that's going to be paying you for, you know, $100 or $50 a day, something like that. You're going to be working 18-hour days, and if they are happy with your work, great. But you're probably not going to be very good if you haven't actually been doing it. You need to work with people, under people, learn new skills, learn new tricks. You don't know it all. I don't know it all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I learn every single day. So, I mean, and I mean, when I'm on set right now, I'm not really on set. I'm trying to learn a lot of stuff every single day, but I find myself, my brain just kind of goes into this idle mode and doesn't do anything. So can't wait until I'm actually back on set again. Studios have stacks of scripts. Okay, we already said that. Speaking of Titanic getting enough sleep, one of the ACs was killed on the show because he fell asleep at the wheel driving back to LA one weekend. I think what you're talking about is Pleasantville. And you're talking about Brent. He was an assistant camera guy. Oh, Titanic. That's what you're talking about. That's very possible. I do know about Brett's, they call it Brett's rule or Brett's law. He was assistant camera person working on the movie Pleasantville, and Pleasantville was often working 16 to 18-hour days. His daughter's birthday was a Saturday. And they finished really late, and he looked at it and said, I could either get a hotel or I could go ahead and drive an hour home. And he decided to go for it. He fell asleep behind the wheel, crashed into a tree, and died. So it's not a nice situation to have at all, to be in, but it is unfortunately something that happens all too often. And I really hate to be that blunt about it, but when you're tired, you don't think about how your brain functions. I was working on Walking Dead, and I was already doing sound speeds. The reason why I did the video life-saving catnap, which, by the way, is one of the ones I had scheduled to show you tonight, because there was almost no, like 177 views for that entire video. It's my least watched viewed video ever. But the reason why I did that video was because driving home one night, I had been doing videos for Sound Speeds one every 3 days. I've been working those crazy hours on Walking Dead. And as I was driving home, there's a lot of areas that go straight and for a long time. And I would, if I left Walking Dead, when I would walk down and get in my car and start driving home, if before I started to leave, if I looked at that and said, I'm tired, I would usually nap in my car for 20 minutes. I'd set an alarm. I'd look at whatever the time was. Like right now, it's 11:28. I would round up to the nearest 5 minutes, which would be 11:30. And then I would say, add 20 minutes to that. That's the timer I'm setting my time for on my phone. And then I would lean my seat back. I'd grab my pillow and I'd doze off. I'd usually wake up and I'd be frustrated at the fact that the entire parking lot would be clear because people would have already left. And there I was sleeping. And I think to myself, I could have almost been to, this one landmark. I could have been to a quick trip by now. But that frustration's a good thing when you're tired, but at least I was well rested. But my general thing was, if I got in my car and I said, yeah, I'm good right now, I would start to drive. And if I drove and I got to this one quick trip that was about 20 or so minutes down the road, if I started getting tired as I approached that, I would say, okay, I'm going to pull off there. I'm going to pull backed up into a space, and usually just down a little bit from the front entrance right underneath this one security camera. I'd lean my seat back and I'd go to sleep for about 20 or 30 minutes. And then I would, get up, I would drive off. And that's where I would do that. So one night on Walking Dead, I said to myself, I'm good. I'm fine. So I jumped behind, after I sat there for a second, I said, I'm good. So I started driving home. Well, there's an area after you would start to go north on the main road out. Long, straight, doesn't go up and down very much. It's pretty much level. And there's a big gap between the two lanes that you drive down and the two lanes going back the other direction in the middle. It kind of goes like this and then back up. And there's a bunch of grass in that. And there's no like bus lines or businesses or anything in there. No one's ever standing in that. It's just a bunch of grass. And as I was driving, I remember thinking, okay, I'm getting tired here. You start shaking your head a little bit. I'm starting to bounce up and down and trying to keep myself alert. And I'm thinking, all right, that quick trip is literally a mile up the road. All I have to do is just make it there and I'm good. And I'm thinking, okay, so I'm looking for the sign. The next thing I know, I am shaking like crazy and I quickly fling awake because I had gone off of the road into the grass and my car was bouncing in that tall grass area. I opened up my eyes, saw that I was just barreling through 2-foot tall grass, quickly, yanked back onto the road, checked my rearview mirror. No one is anywhere around. It's completely dark, no cars, no headlights or anything, just an occasional, turn off on that area of the road. That's scary. That's a very scary thing. And that was when I was thinking to myself, I only have a mile down the road. I'm fine now. And then all of a sudden, whoa, what just happened? Sleep is no joke. So that's the reason why I made the video Life-Saving Catnap. Because I do know people that have fallen asleep behind the wheel and have crashed their cars. There was one of my friends finished on set one night. He drove all the way back to his house. He managed to stay awake the entire time, got in front of his car and got into his driveway and did not put his car in park or anything. He drove up into his driveway and was like, okay, I'm finally home. He dozed off, hit the gas, crashed into his own garage because he didn't put the car in park. So that's one of the things I always say that you need to do is you need to, if you're going to stop someplace, you need to be very careful about putting your car into park and pulling the parking, the thing, pull the brake, the parking brake. Because if you don't, at a traffic light and you're tired, if you're tired at all, first of all, pull over. Because it's no joke. Pull over someplace like in a police parking, in a police department parking lot, pull over to the side, pull over into a gas station, that's a good gas station. In America, we have Quick Trips that always have someone there. It's a nice one. You can back in right in front. You can see the security cameras if you know where it is. You back up into that, so that way you're always facing out. Pull the parking brake, lean your car seat back, and doze off. No one's going to come and break into your car if you're right there next to the front door of the gas station that's open 24 hours. So it's something that's very, very important for you to do. And there's a documentary I'm about to put into the thing. Jeff Wexler's dad, if you're familiar with him, a sound mixer, his dad, Haskell Wexler, created a documentary called Who Needs Sleep. If you've never watched that, it's a very, very strong recommendation of mine for you to watch that, because it's all about sleeping and people in the film industry working long hours. And it goes into people, and they're trying to talk to Directors Guild of America and producers are like, look, if you can't handle it, just, leave the industry. If you can't handle it, then get out. And that seems to be the attitude that a lot of producers are having. So that's one of the reasons why we're so excited that for the first time ever, because of COVID, they say, well, if you get overly tired and you're potentially sick, it's not a good combination, and you're going to have a weakened immune system, and you can get other people sick. And so the first time ever, people are in the film industry are acknowledging that sleep plays a part in your health, which is awesome. Being tired is the equivalent of being intoxicated. Don't drive tired, folks. Yes, but also more so than that. The Mythbusters actually tested it, and they said that it's actually worse if you're tired than it is if you're intoxicated. Because at least if you're intoxicated, you can try to focus, but when you're tired, your brain is in idle mode, and there is no focusing, or brain response is even slower than when you're intoxicated. So yeah, it's no joke. I just looked up Hirschman's death. I think I was thinking about him as both Pleasantville and Titanic were both shot in 1987. Okay. I know that Brad, who was over there on Pleasantville, has a credit. If you look at Pleasantville, it's like the very first thing that comes up or one of the first things that comes up is something about Brad, and in memory of him or something. Because and it's not really a law or a rule, but some people will say Brett's rule or Brett's law, and what that is that if you are overly tired, you can go to the producers and say, can you get me a hotel room or provide for me someplace for the night? One of the things also, if you're on set, if people don't want to spring, if producers are like, no, I'm not going to spring for a hotel for you. That's going to be $100 and some odd for the night. They may do that. But one of the better things to do is if you tell your production, can I get an Uber? Because, and would you cover that? Because a lot of these shows will write off an Uber ride. Most of the time, crew don't live too far away. So an Uber ride might only be $20 or $30. And then they cover Uber ride for you to get back to work the next day. That's something that the cost of $40 or $50 or $60 for an Uber is nothing in comparison to losing a crew member and what that would do to your show, investigation, anything in particular, potential union rallies against your show, or picketing, or anything, depending on what's going on there. It's a lot better for the production to just write that off, since they can actually cover quite a few expenses that they don't. It's something that better shows will do that. Better shows will allow you to get an Uber. When I was working on P-Valley, which, by the way, it's Tuesday today. The last episode of season 1 just dropped on Sunday. So if you're interested in watching the show, that it's been one of the most pleasant, one of the best experiences for me, even though it was very difficult. It was something that the cast and crew was wonderful. It made it very easy for me to get what I needed to done if I knew what to ask for. If I was green, I would have sunk. I mean, there's no way to have done that if you were green. You had to be an experienced person to be on that show as a boom operator, because you had hard lights, you had shadows all over the place, you had high heels you had to address, you had a bunch of people talking that you had to swing, you had mirrors, you had fog, pretty much everything imaginable, and you had girls that you could not put lavs on because they weren't wearing much, if anything. So that show was extremely difficult in many ways, and it sounds very good. So it's like, yay, we kicked butt on that one. So me, sound mixer Michael Wynn, Rachel Smith, sound utility, and John Maskew, the playback guy, just killed it on that show, I thought. So if you're interested, you can watch all episodes, get yourself a 7-day, do the 7-day free trial for Stars and binge watch them. It's a great show. It's a lot of fun. Each episode is, I think, about 50 some odd minutes to an hour. And the show will, if I said to you, it's a show about a strip club in Mississippi, you're going to be like, that's a good show. It's well written. It's a lot of fun. Some parts are pretty raunchy, of course. So it's definitely not something you could, not safe for work type thing to have in the background. But it could be something fun to watch with your spouse because it's a lot of fun. The girls on the show were complete athletes. They were total pros. The show looks beautiful. The way that they did all the effects and the lighting and the camera and stuff. It sounds really good. It's just a very well done show overall. So I'm very, very pleased by that. Fernando, yo, how's it going? Welcome. And so that's basically, those are the shows that I've worked on recently. As soon as Devil All the Time comes out a week from tomorrow, I think that's all the shows I've worked on full time, at least, have been released. So that means I'll need to get more in the can. It used to be that I would work on a movie, work on a TV show, work on another movie or something like that. I might have one movie or television show be released every few months. Once a TV show started, it would start up for a while, and then it might go on hiatus for a month or two, and then it would pick back up again. But now that P-Valley's finished and Devil All the Time comes out a week from tomorrow, after that, I won't have any other shows that are in the can. I won't have anything really working on. I was day playing on, a couple of days here and there on, a few shows after Black Lightning finished, but it was like one or two. I think it was only a total of like 4 or 5 days the entire 2-month times before we had COVID shut down. So it was one of those things that if you do that, then it throws off unemployment if you're going to file for unemployment, because as soon as you do another show like that, sure, you'll get your hours and your rate and whatever, but that one day will completely, if you file for unemployment, then it will totally mess you up because you're not going to be able to, the process of start paperwork will go into the department that looks at start paperwork, and they're going to say, oh, you got a job. Cool. Well, kicked you right out of the system. So it doesn't matter if you're there one day covering a union brother or sister or not, you'll be kicked out of the system, and it can take 3 or 4 weeks to get approved. So it's like, so if you ever look at that from a point of view of, do you turn down work and file for unemployment? You're not allowed to do that. You're supposed to accept any work that comes, but if you do, it's going to kick you out of that unemployment system. So that's why I say, if you're going to file for unemployment after you finish a show, before you start another show, which, I had 3 shows lined up after Black Lightning finished. Season 1 finished the 2nd week of January. I had shows lined up starting in mid-March, back to back to back, and it would have carried me through until 2021. But COVID-19 happened, and it shut down my entire industry. So all of those shows went away. One of them may have permanently gone away. One of them is just starting to get going now. But it ends before Black Lightning does, with less time than Black Lightning. And so we're going to go back and do Black Lightning season 4 when it starts back up. And so that's going to be good times, good fun. If one caught half of the first show of P-Valley, would they have a good feel for the type of show it is? Or is first show just a setup and the show doesn't really get going until show 2? American Liberty, here's what I will say. The show, I would say, the first episode does kind of get you into the world. It's not really established. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Until episode 2. So if you watch the first episode, it kind of gets you into the world, but then it doesn't really start going until episode 2. But if you have any interest, then I would say jump in Discord and, because and let's talk about it, because there's the first episode. I believe you can watch the first episode without subscribing or getting the 7-day trial or something. I may be mistaken about that. But there's ways that we could watch it together if you wanted to watch it, because it's one of those shows that I look at it and I have a lot of fun remembering it and stuff. So let's see. You're a really good speaker. Ever thought about producing and narrate talks? No. I can BS my way through a live stream, no problem. When I stand up and I shoot an episode of Sound Speeds, I can have it scripted out in front of me. I will botch it all over the place. I mess it up over and over and over again until I finally get one sentence right. There's a great video I have, and I will show it to you. So it's I will just put it here, and that way you can check it out here. It's called The Look of Sound Speeds and Outtakes. The reason this one's fun, it's only got 180 views. Oh, no. Yes, it only got 180 views. Man, it's one of those that just people... I should do a watch together. I should do a watch together of this one right now. And just go on hiatus from the stream for a moment and do a watch together since I can't stream it. That video right there is one that if you watch it, it's 20 minutes long, but you get to see how I botch things, and it is very much like I just turn on the camera and I try to do it. I mess something up. I'm like, okay, try it again. And then I do it again. I botch it. I'm like, all right, come on. And then over and over again, just that's the way it is when I do an episode. And after botching so much of it, I had to cut out about 2/3 of the actual mess ups to make it something that would be interesting enough to put on. And even then it starts to get kind of long. By the time you're like, dude, are you ever going to get past this opening phrase? Because it is that rough sometimes doing an episode. Sometimes the intro, 20 seconds of an episode will take me 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm not kidding about that. It is terrible. So I'm like nothing. I'm nobody that needs to be in front of camera. Just got stars. Stripper shows are really in my wheelhouse. Was wondering how much time the show would need to make sure I gave it a fair shake. Yeah, I mean, if it's being completely honest, the first one's kind of sets up the world, and you could get an idea of where it's going in that time. Don't just watch it, just to say you've done it. If it doesn't sound like it's something that's in your interest, then just don't watch it. But it to me, as far as I was concerned, it's a show that's not just about strippers in a Mississippi nightclub. It's actually about a lot more than that. Like I said, it's a kind of crazy show. It's not at all PC. The characters are just a damn trip and a half. It's a lot of fun. The whole show is just a lot of fun. Best way to look at it. So if that's at all interesting to you, then by all means, check it out. It was definitely a lot of fun to work on. Let's see. How are we doing here? We've been on here for about an hour and 15 minutes. Really not talking about a whole lot. I'll most likely watch the whole thing so that I can ask questions later. Ha ha ha. Okay. American Liberty. What I will say is I will probably... if you want to, I will jump off. I'm probably going to end the stream here in the next few minutes, really. Not really talk about anything, and everything I had planned kind of went out the window. So I'll need to practice this again for next week and probably try take 2 next week and see if this is going to work out any better. And I would say jump in Discord if you have any interest in talking about and maybe even watching the first episode of P-Valley together. That might be something kind of fun to do tonight. Random question. Favorite shoes for long hours on set? That is wonderful. That is a wonderful question. I have found that there is these cloud form shoes that are usually pretty good. However, as soft as they are, if you step on wet cement of any kind, it will soak right in like a sponge. They're very comforting if you're standing on concrete all day, but the biggest issue you'll run into is that they don't offer very good arch support. So if you have arches on your feet, if your feet have any kind of an arch built into it, then the shoes I strongly recommend getting are for something along the lines of plantar fasciitis shoes, like Bionics or Vionics. If you get those, which I strongly recommend, my wife turned me on to those, and I tell you, I can stand there, even though you're like, well, these are kind of hard when you stand in them. Is this really going to be good? You stand on them all day at work. After you're standing on them for a few minutes, it doesn't get any worse than it will be at the end of 12 hours. They're quite comfortable because it gives you arch support and you can stand on them. Those cloud form shoes, I forgot what they're called, but they were cloud form something. Let me see if I can find them. But they felt really good, but they wear through Adidas cloud form. That's it. So, yeah, that's exactly it. Oh, it's cloud foam shoes. I thought it was cloud form. Whatever. I'll at least post a link to this. Those are okay. The biggest issue that I ran into those, though, is it does not have arch support. So if you have relatively flat feet, then those are going to probably be okay as long as you're on a stage. Like if you have a lot of concrete, then you'll probably be okay. A lot of your sets are built straight on the concrete floor. You'll probably be all right. If you're standing on wood, it's probably, it's still going to be better. But if you're doing any kind of exteriors and there's no kind of traction on these shoes, but if you like arch support and you need good arch support, then something along the lines of the Vionic shoes that are designed for plantar fasciitis, which I don't have. It's just I found that these are extremely good shoes to wear. These are some other ones right there. The Vionics. I forgot the one that I wear, but the Vionics that I'm wearing are in there someplace. They're not cheap. And actually, I ended up replacing the inside bit with, I went to a foot doctor, podiatrist, I guess they're called, and she had me stand on this thing, measured how I, stood, measured the arches, took a couple of x-rays even, and then said, what I would recommend you to get was, and she said, actually, you're lucky. You're one of the few people that falls into this one category of you can buy a pre-made insert and be fine. And she said, there's a whole bunch of inserts that would be okay for like this range, this range, this range, and this range. And you happen to be in this one range right there that would fit perfectly in that. So you don't need to get a custom one. And I said, really? And I said, well, all right, how much do you sell those for? And she said, do you really want to buy them from me? And I said, I'll buy them from wherever you tell me to. And she's like, okay, buy them from Amazon. I'm like, you're telling me to buy something from Amazon? She's like, I'll sell it to you, but I'm going to mark it up like, $20 or something like that. And you can get the same insults. You can get the same insoles on Amazon for probably $35. And why buy them from me for $55 and you get them on Amazon? I'm like, are you sure you're a doctor? It sounds so weird to me. So she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, can you tell me exactly what to get? She said, yeah, pull up Amazon. And I pulled up Amazon. I looked for it. They didn't have it in stock. So I did a Google search and she said, yeah, what you want is the one that has the blue dot on it. And so I looked at it. I was like this one? She said, no, not that one. It has to be this blue dot. And I said, oh, that one. Okay, well, that makes more sense. So as soon as she told me what to get, she said, yeah. So even if that blue dot wears itself off of your insole for a while, it'll still be fine. But that blue dot right there is going to be an extra added little bit of support that will help you. So if that blue dot falls out and you want to continue to use it for a little bit because it comes off after a couple months, that's not going to hurt you. But that blue dot does serve a purpose. So if you can swap them out, go ahead and do that. I said, awesome. So I went ahead and did that. Now, the Adidas Cloud Foam shoes are very comfortable, but that is also how I got, just to let you know, that is also how I came to mess up my foot. And the reason why is because we were out in the woods. There was a whole bunch of like those loose gravel pebbles out there. And I was doing a walk and talk backward with an actor who was talking on the phone. And as I walked back, I stepped on one of those bigger type rocks. The cloud foam shoes would normally not be an issue, but because the sole is so soft, it does wear down quicker than a normal shoe sole would. And it got to the point where it was so far, it was worn from like this down to here after only a couple of months on set. And that little bit of sole was not enough to protect my foot against a fist-sized rock when I stepped on it. Normally, I would just kind of, stumble a little bit and keep on going. This one was like full arch over it, and yikes, ow. And I was limping after that for probably a good couple of weeks, even on set. And then that's one of the reasons why last Halloween, I went and saw a foot doctor. Because I was like, man, my foot's been bothering me for, I think this happened about a year ago now. It happened, I believe, actually, I think it was August. It was either August or September of last year. And it just did not seem to go away by the end of October. So I went to a foot doctor who asked me how it happened. And she shot straight with me. She said, so it happened when you stepped down onto something. That's when you first noticed. I said, yes. She said, what you probably did is you probably tore the nerve. And she explained to me that on the bottom of your foot, you have long nerves that go down the end of it. She says, what probably happened, and it does happen quite often if you damage the nerve somehow, it's because you step on something the wrong way and it just puts pressure on one of those nerves and it breaks it. Because she says the nerves go along your entire foot, and when you step on it, it presses up into that nerve. And if it's like a long tendon type thing and you were to overstretch it, it's going to hurt. And then you're going to kind of do damage to it. But because you're never off of your foot, it's never going to truly heal. So she said you can get insoles to help out, and it will heal over time. I think COVID-19 has helped a lot because I've been, off my feet for so long, but it's not exactly how I wanted the recovery to happen. But that is something that, it's an ankle snapper, as they would say. So yeah, I mean, it's something that by no means did I want to have happen or anything. But after that, I looked at Vionic shoes, and I got myself that insole that the doctor recommended me, and I've been fine with those on set every single day ever since. So I recommend, if you have a high arch, get the arch support. If not, consider a custom sole, but don't get the kind that's soft. Don't go to the Walmart and stand on the little doodad and have it say, here, you're a number 3 on this foot. You're number 2 on this foot. Because those are soft. You put them in your shoe and they're soft. As soon as you put your foot on there, or the little wedge things, as soon as you put your foot in that, they're going to push down. They're going to slide up. Your foot's not going to be on it anymore. It's going to slide up and curl up and grab the end of your toes. Those things are crap. They're nonsense. You don't want that. What you want is a harder one. You rip out the sole that's inside your shoe. You put this inside, replacing it, and then it's not going to move. It's harder. It's going to stick in place because it's got a little bit of sticky on the bottom. By the time you put pressure on that, it's hard sole. And so it's not just going to slide and slip. It's a hard thing that you jam into the shoe and drop it in place, put your foot on top of it. It's not going anywhere. That's what you want to get because it's going to actually support your foot properly. I hate to say that there's a lot of misinformation here. I used to work at an orthopedic clinic. Soft insoles have their place for people who are 50 plus and have been walking forever. Okay, I'm going to throw something back at you, Horse Taco. I don't doubt that they have a place. The question was specifically about set. When you're working on set and you are on your feet for a good 12 to 15 hours a day, boom operators and people who are on set do not like those soft ones. Your foot will shift as you're doing walk and talks. You're standing, you're walking backwards on uneven ground. You're going up and down hills. Those will start to jam and they'll slip and slide underneath your foot, especially if you're in hot weather and it's overly damaging outside, punishing, it's raining, whatever the case may be. You'll start to jam up and slip those because believe me, I tried them. People were telling me to get insoles. The first ones I tried to do were some of the insoles that were better, that had a better brand name to them. I put them in my shoes. I fought them to get them in place. And those soft ones, I finally got the position right. As soon as I went on set and started doing a walk and talk where I was walking upwards, up a hill like this one, it shifted. It started being very uncomfortable and I was not able to change it. So I then had to fight those stupid things. And I think I only used those for about 2 or 3 days and before I took them out, yanked them out of the shoe, threw them away, and said, I'm never using those stupid things again. And then when I went to the doctor, she was the person that told me that I should get a hard insole because I'm on set so long. I did a post on the Boom Operator forum, that one of the big forums, and everyone was saying, yeah, don't get the soft kind, get the hard kind, get a custom one done. One of my friends, Kevin Cherokee, who is the guy that did like 25 years of Michael Bay movies, he uses custom insoles that are a few $100s each. And he gets them done, every 6 months or something like that, because he understands. And he said, yeah, don't get the soft ones, get the ones that are pre-made. So your foot shifts on everything. It shifts on hard insoles as well, maybe. But here's what I'm telling you. From my experience, and from the experience of other boom operators and camera operators, people that are on set all the time, those soft ones, when you're up and down doing the same things over and over again, they shift, and it's awkward when you're doing it, 12 to 15 hours a day. I have no doubt that they're fine in some shoes, but people in our industry, they always talk about using the hard kind, because it's just the shell that's hard, and then it's softer stuff on top. I mean, it holds its shape. It's not the kind that comes in the little thing and you flap it around. It's like a whole gel thing. You put that inside your shoe and it bunches up and does really weird things. But if you have the kind that kind of holds itself in position and then has the insole stuff on top, that's the kind that we always swear by, and that's what every single person in the sound forums and every camera operator I've ever talked to have always said the same thing. Don't get the soft kind, get the hard kind. That's hence my recommendation. So if you're saying there's misinformation here, maybe as a general rule, I have no doubt that they have a purpose, but you're not going to hear me talk about and praise the soft kind for working in the film industry. I'm not going to do that, especially after talking to a lot of people that share the same opinions as me. So yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that you are so much more knowledgeable about insoles, especially since you used to work at an orthopedic clinic. But regarding film industry work and stuff like that, that's just my recommendation. But, by all means, definitely, I mean, Horse Taco does make some really good points here, and that they do have their place. So I'm by no means an expert on shoe insoles. All I can tell you is what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what I've talked to about with other people. And even talking to some people, they'll say, "Oh yeah, let me show you what I have. What is this brand?" And they'll pull it out, and it's one of the hard kind also. So it's hard as a shell, but then it has softer stuff on top of it, whatever that's called, if there's a name for that, Horse Taco. But that's what I use. But definitely go to a podiatrist, go to an orthopedic clinic, and get an officially done one, and they're going to give you far better information than I can in a live stream without having ever seen your foot or know of your foot style. But that's why I say if you have a high arch, then the Vionic shoes are definitely something to consider, because of plantar fasciitis and how your foot wears inside of the shoe sole itself. I found that I was a dancer. You may not look at me and say you're a dancer. I was a dancer for 4 years back in high school. I went to a performing arts school, very much like the movie Fame, if you've seen it. And I was on the dance. I was a dancer from 9th until 12th grade. And I naturally have one of those arches in my foot like that would make people completely go nuts over them. The girls on were like, "Oh my gosh, how do you have that kind of arch?" My teachers were like, "You have an amazing arch." And I was like, it's annoying because it hurts my foot when I walk sometimes. But those high arches, if you have a high arch, plantar fasciitis shoes would actually probably help you, because they certainly helped me. High arches are terrible. I wear hiking boots all the time because of mine. I find that they support me better than tennis shoe. Good to know. Okay. Well, if you have flat feet, suck too. I imagine that pretty much any kind of foot is going to suck, whether it's a little arch, a lot of arch, or flat. My aunt has a flat foot, like we're talking like flat, and she can't wear high heel shoes. If she does, it hurts like crazy, and she stumbles and trips because her foot just does not go in them correctly. Where it arches up for her to do this, it puts pressure on her foot the wrong way, wrong places, and she falls all over the place. So perhaps, Horse Taco, the best thing for me to say is what works for me, because I have a high arch, is the Vionic shoes with the insole that the podiatrist that I went to recommended. A lot of people on set recommend getting the harder kind, but definitely go to see someone and get yourself a custom insole if you're going to be on your shoes. Because everyone is different. It's just like, your preferences regarding boom poles or anything else. You're going to have your own preferences, and you're probably not going to fall into the same category as other people. So especially when it's dealing with foot comfort over the course of time, you might want to go and talk to someone about custom insoles, or at least go to a foot doctor and see what they recommend for you. So that's probably the best way to put that then, because I'm not any kind of person you should take medical advice for. I can tell you what works well for me. I can tell you what works for people on set. I can tell you that if you're talking about, shoulder injuries, the most common ones for boom operators are rotator cuff issues and things like that. And by all means, nobody should ever wear van style shoes on set or anywhere you need to stand all day. Vans style shoes. I'm going to have to look that one up. Vans style shoes. What in the world is that? Oh, those? Yeah, those are like the shoes I have over there that I used to have for the elliptical. I don't even even know what Vans means. I guess that's the stylish shoe. But yeah, these were used on an elliptical when we had a treadmill. I think I only used those for a short period of time because I didn't like them. If I'm sitting down and just moving my feet, it's one thing. But if I was standing on a treadmill, it was a totally different thing. Vans is a brand. Okay. Flat, floppy, casual sneaker. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm sure you saw my face. I wouldn't want to wear one of those on set. It doesn't look like it would be comfortable at all. And I can honestly say that I've never seen those on set. What I've seen people usually wear, what is it? They'll wear New Balance. People wear New Balance on set. They'll use, if they don't wear a Nike or an Adidas or something like that, they'll wear a lot of New Balance, that kind of thing. I used to wear Chuck Taylors all the time. Vans is the original skateboarding shoe. I'm flat-footed and my weight is over 360 12-hour days. 12-hour days suck so bad for me. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, 12-hour days on feet. Yeah, you definitely would want to get yourself some custom insoles. Talk to a doctor and see what they can recommend for you, because I'll tell you, I'm not a light guy either, but my feet were killing me on set. And as soon as I got to the doctor and she recommended those insoles, it really helped out my foot a lot better. Just standing on them all day, when I had that nerve damage to it from the cloud foam shoes, it got hurt pretty bad. And I really appreciated the fact that my wife had recommended me the Vionic shoes, which she uses those, and she has the Vionics sandals. So she would wear those all the time, and then she recommended to me. New Balance is good for people with wide foot. That's what I use. I don't have a wide foot. That might be the reason why I didn't have a good experience with it. I've not had very good luck with New Balance. I had one pair, and then I said, maybe it just was this kind. Maybe I should try some other kind of New Balance. I tried it. It still wasn't that much more comfortable. So, but a lot of people I know swear by them. And I just look at them and I shake my head and say, not for me. Just like many of these things right here. So a lot of the times that people would talk about shoes on set, they'll fall into certain brands, usually Nike or Nike because they last a long time. Adidas usually because they offer kind of gimmicky type, pouches of air and pockets of air and stuff like that. Sometimes they're higher on the ankle. And then New Balance, people always swear by. They're like, oh, that's what all the nurses wear. Okay, well, that's fine. But then the Vionics really work well. And the one other shoes that are for plantar fasciitis, those work really well. So, cool. Well, awesome. If you are in my Discord server, if you want to pop in voice chat, I'll go ahead and pop in there. It is now midnight 07 here. And I will go ahead and be disappointed that I wasn't able to do what I wanted to, but I will save it for next week on Tuesday, and I will make sure that I have it working just fine. The video I have planned from next Monday is going to be fun. It's one that I actually shot footage for before COVID-19 happened and the whole shutdown happened, and it is one that is, I think, going to be a lot of fun. I hope I can get this one done in time. And that is my goal to do, because it's a lot of it is location shooting that I've already done. And the rest of it is going to be presenting stuff. I've already shot all the B-roll for it, which is quite a bit of. And then I just have to I have to finish writing it and then presenting it. And I think we're going to be in good shape for it. So I'm going to jump in my Discord server right now. If you want to talk about anything in particular, or if you want to talk about P-Valley, I wouldn't mind talking about P-Valley, and maybe we can all do a watch together of the first episode or something like that. For anybody that is interested in joining the Discord server. But I'm going to go ahead and call it there, since my entire content I had planned, it's such a disappointment it's gone now. But anyway, thanks for popping in here tonight and checking out the live stream. Hopefully it's been fun, entertaining, and misinformative. No, seriously. Hopefully you've caught some stuff out of that, and if you're watching this after the fact, by all means, thanks for tuning in. But for everybody that popped in here tonight, thank you for coming, and I will see you next week for yet another live stream.